Welcome, everyone. We're going to give folks maybe another minute just to get into the meeting before we get started. All right, I think we'll go ahead and jump right in. There might be some others joining us as we kick off the session, but good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for part 2 of our ESL webinar series focused on emerging practices and resources to support ESL placement and throughput. My name is Michelle White, and I'm a senior researcher with the RP group. I'm joined by my colleague, Mallory Newell, who is the project lead for the Multiple Measures Assessment Project, also known as MAP. Today, we're excited to spotlight some of the ESL practices and innovations taking place in our California Community College system that support student success and program completion. So we'll have the opportunity to hear directly from ESL faculty at 3 of the colleges that we worked with on this research. But just a couple of housekeeping items. We are recording this session, and we'll post it along with the actual slides from today to the RP group website and sometime in the next week. So keep an eye out for that. In terms of our agenda for today, we do have 4 practices that we're going to walk through, and we'll actually hear from subject matter experts who were responsible for designing and implementing these different practices at their campus. And we'll also have time for questions after each presenter. Feel free to also use the chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll respond to as many questions as we can before the end of the session. In terms of the practices that we're actually going to cover, we'll do a steps to credit transition program. So this is designed to help students navigate the placement process. So we'll learn from CCSF and how they put together that program. We're also going to be talking about a bridge program known as WordJam. So we'll hear from a college who put that together for their ESL students. And then we have a college that will be presenting our last 2 practices on ESL course transferability and a achievement program involving ESL milestone certificates. So we put together a series of briefs that we're calling ESL Spotlights that summarize the practices that we're going to hear about today. There's actually 5 practices in total. So we only have 4 in this webinar, but you'll find another one included in the series. So if you're interested in learning more about anything you hear today, the Spotlight briefs will be posted to the website in addition to the recording and the slides. So you can learn more about how you might replicate or adapt a process that you hear about today. At this time, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to our first college speaker, actually a set of speakers. So this will be City College of San Francisco, and we're going to learn all about their steps to credit transition program for non-credit students.
Thanks, Michelle. So hi, my name is Jessica Buxbaum, and I am the chair of the ESL department at City College of San Francisco. And I'm here with Lisa. Are you here?
Lisa Romano, Department Chair of New Student Counseling.
Thanks, Lisa. And we'd like to share some information with you about our Steps to Credit program. So City College of San Francisco, actually, sorry, let me see if I can advance to our slide. Okay. City College of San Francisco offers both credit and non-credit ESL courses for English language learners. To assist non-credit students who wish to transition to credit ESL, the department collaborated with counseling personnel to provide a graduated series of presentations and workshops through their Steps to Credit program. To help students make a smooth transition to credit courses, we've designed this program to help students answer the following questions. What is credit? How is it different from non-credit, where these students are beginning and are familiar with, right? And then how does the application and registration system work? Because for many of our students, that can be really murky. So we're working to make sure that they understand how all of that works. What we do is create a schedule for instructors and counselors to visit and conduct workshops in our intermediate non-credit ESL courses. And these courses include both our regular intermediate coursework and also our ESL 3180, which is an intro to academic ESL course. So we actually have a whole course devoted to helping prepare non-credit students to transition to credit. And then the Steps to Credit workshops come to all of those courses. So before the workshops begin, ESL instructors use preparation materials that we've developed to familiarize students with the vocabulary and concepts related to academic study in the United States. And we've done this in acknowledgement of the very different education systems that exist in other countries. So we prepare students with vocabulary lessons and some cultural knowledge, even before the counselors come to do the presentations. Then counselors come and visit classes in person or now virtually via Zoom to help introduce the idea of credit coursework. So now Lisa's going to tell us a little bit more about that, a little overview, and then we're actually going to look at one of the flyers that we use. So Lisa, I'm clicking the slide, so you just tell me when you're ready to move forward to the next one, okay?
Okay. The Steps to Credit program is located at 5 of our center locations throughout San Francisco. So we have a center in Chinatown, downtown, Evans, which is in the industrial part of San Francisco, John Adams, which is in Haight and Masonic, and at the Mission, which is in our district of San Francisco. And it's a collaboration among counseling, admissions and records, and ESL. We can probably go to the next slide.
For the flyer, okay.
Yeah. So,
oops, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There we go.
Our Steps to Credit program enhances and personalizes the enrollment process for English language learners by one, offering an intro to credit workshop in English, Cantonese, and Spanish, offering application workshops for students needing assistance, and again in English, Chinese, and Spanish, and then providing an orientation workshop as a follow-up to the intro to credit workshop in English, Cantonese, and Spanish. And if needed, students are then able to request counseling in Cantonese or Spanish. Also, the non-credit students that transition into credit receive registration priority 1 day before the new students register at our college. Additionally, counseling faculty at each center location work with non-credit ESL instructors to schedule in-class presentations to prepare students for transition from non-credit to credit courses. Counseling faculty collaborated with the ESL faculty to design vocabulary lesson plans, which help to prepare interest students going into credit, but also teaches in the ESL class useful vocabulary, even if they don't want to transition. And Jessica will share a little bit more about that. Pre-COVID, these services were provided face-to-face. Initially, COVID provided a challenge in delivering our Steps to Credit program. Additionally, students interested in taking non-credit ESL courses were more likely to do so in person, as navigating technology proved to be a barrier for many of our students. It took a moment for us to regroup, and by spring 2021, we were able to offer the Steps to Credit program remotely via Zoom. The silver lining is that we have built an even stronger collaboration among the departments that will strengthen the services we provide to our non-credit students.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So yeah, as we've mentioned, the Steps to Credit program provides a graduated series of interventions designed to take some of the anxiety and uncertainty away from the matriculation process for our non-credit ESL students. The program introduces the concept of credit instruction, provides registration assistance, and offers individual counseling sessions. Instructors also assist students in the classroom by providing scaffolding, preparation, and time to discuss the information contained in the in-class presentation. So in other words, we have a set of materials that faculty can use ahead of time so that students can get ready for what they're going to see and hear from the counselors. And what you see on your screen right now is actually just the first page of a whole set of lessons where students can start to build a schema around what's different between non-credit and credit. And then we go over a lot of the vocabulary that is related and that they're going to hear from the counselors when they come. And then after that counseling workshop, faculty go over it again, right? And so faculty ensure student comprehension by familiarizing students with vocab before the presentation, noting comprehension issues during the presentation, and then kind of collecting feedback and informally assessing students after the presentation. Is it possible to enlarge what's on the screen? I don't think I can do that, but maybe you can. And if you email me, I'd be happy to share the whole lesson, set of lessons with you. And then you can actually have not just this page, but the rest of it. Okay, let me just wrap up. So at City College, 50% of the credit ESL population has non-credit ESL in their transcripts. So we do see that non-credit really is a starting point for a significant portion of the credit student population. Students start the credit sequence at the most appropriate level for them, according to their language acquisition progress. They don't have to start at the beginning of the credit sequence. We have a placement process that they go through. So they can start at the beginning, middle, or end of the credit sequence, depending on that. And the final ESL credit composition level, our ESL 188, is a prerequisite to transfer level English. And in some initial research we've done at CCSF, we've found that program participant success rate in English 1A freshman composition is over 80%. So we're in the process of asking for further research about how ESL students are doing, not only in as they go into English, but across the courses that they take at the college. And we're really looking forward to continuing this highly successful collaboration with our colleagues in counseling and the admissions and records office as we continue to support our non-credit ESL students to transition to credit pathways. So thank you so much. And I think we have a little time for questions, although Mallory can let us know.
Yeah, we can take a couple of questions if anyone wants to drop them in the chat. Thank you so much, Jessica and Lisa, for your presentation today. Give everyone, I don't see anything coming in. If I see any, I'll be sure to kind of give everyone's a heads up towards the end. But I think now we're going to turn it over to College of San Mateo to learn about their bridge program for English language learners.
And then I was just going to note that, Michelle, maybe if you get a chance, you could drop the bit.ly link in where we have the presentation. And so people can follow along if any of the slides are too small. You can download it from there.
Yes, I will go ahead and do that now. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give the control over to Eleanor. You should be good to go, Eleanor.
All right. So hi, everybody. My name is Evan Kaiser, and together with my colleague Eleanor Westfold, we're going to talk a little bit about our bridge program in the summer called Word Jam at College of San Mateo. So next slide, please. Great. So what is Word Jam? As you can see in the picture describing what it might have looked like in the presentation before COVID, it's a free intensive college bridge program for English language learners. And it serves returning students, incoming students, and prospective students, some of whom are international F1 visa students, some of whom are adult immigrant students, domestic students, including from our local adult school. It developed into a secondary purpose to be used as a multiple measure for placement. And its funding came from the SEA program, that's Student Equity and Achievement. So initially, when we developed the course, we wanted affective sort of learning outcomes, right? Feeling comfortable in college and feeling confident being in college. That was primary. Secondarily, we wanted students to be able to annotate, to be able to take notes while listening to short lectures or discussions, talk in class, in groups, and organize their ideas into paragraphs and even an essay in the upper level. So in fall 2018, this was our initial process for developing the curriculum. We split it into two levels, an upper and a lower level, and two professors partnered to have a thought partner to develop curriculum. So for example, me and my colleague Tina Hukari split up the upper level. I worked on the writing piece and she did the grammar piece. We came together, and so on for the other skills, 2 or 3 of them. We drew heavily from our previous bank of materials in other contexts, repurposing them and adapting them as we went. And we wanted to sequence the receptive skills earlier on for confidence reasons, right? To give folks a chance to feel confident and practice more before they were doing productive skills like writing and speaking later in the week. Next slide, please.
It's being a little slow. Sorry. Let me try again. There we go.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, so this slide is after that year, of course, we wanted to evaluate the program. So we surveyed students about what they felt were the most effective and enjoyable pieces. And we found some areas where we could cut back. So specifically in the lower level, that was cutting out some of the grammar work because there was a lot. So progressive tenses were cut out to make room for practicing questions. As you can see in the next slides, that was part of the survey project. In the upper level, that meant cutting some discussion activities, which were a little heavy, to leave room for other things, and cutting yes/no question practice because we found students at that level already knew how to do that well. Okay, so now this is kind of an overview of the curriculum. What you're looking at is the lower level curriculum. The topic was environmentalism. And you can look at these slides later for the details, but I just want to walk through sort of the outline of it. So as you can see on the Monday, we started with receptive skills, reading an article, after building some community, listening to a short piece and discussing it, doing some response writing. On the Tuesday, verb tense practice and some more grammar review, and then moving into developing a survey project, which on Wednesday they would actually enact when there's a field trip to Stanford. They would ask people the questions they developed in groups. And on Thursday, they would debrief those questions in order to prepare to present them on Friday in a short informal group presentation. And so I won't go over this in detail, but this is the analog in the upper level. The focus was technology as a different topic. And with some small differences, the order of activities is the same. But what I want to draw your attention to now is just the blue highlighted parts. Those are the assessment pieces, and Eleanor is going to tell you more about what those look like and sort of are the lessons we learned from using them.
Yeah, so we can see in this slide how the assessment pieces are sprinkled throughout the week, and I'm going to go over how we developed those. So in fall 2019, we upgraded WordJam to add placement. Because of AB 705, we realized we needed to have options beyond AccuPlacer, and we also saw placement as an incentive for F1 students to arrive early and participate more in WordJam. We also thought it would be a good way to convince our adult school students that they were college ready and could handle college level coursework. As you can see from my Zoom background, we're up on a hill, and sometimes the adult school students feel a little nervous coming back up. So WordJam was a great way to get them up, and then at the end say, look, hey, look how good you are at this. You're ready for our classes.
And our existing curriculum already had some good productive activities like writing and note-taking that we felt could be used for placement already. We did have a couple constraints. We needed to finish our placement by Friday so that we could collaborate with counseling and getting students into classes. We also wanted to space out the placement so it wasn't too overwhelming. And because we already had the field trip scheduled for Wednesday, we knew that would be a good time to read the writing samples. So we had to make sure that our writing was a little earlier in the week than it had been initially. I want to point out that this is part of a larger landscape of placement at College of San Mateo. We also have guided self-placement tools. For now, we're still using AccuPlacer. We use TOEFL and IELTS for students coming from abroad, and we also use high school transcripts, and we also do week 1 writing tasks. So WordJam is certainly not the only way to be placed, and it's not maybe even primarily a placement tool, but it is a way that students can show that they're ready for our classes in a way that's more friendly and holistic than some of these other options might be. The placement tools we use during WordJam are a multiple choice reading test that was developed in a fairly standard way with a pilot with our students already in reading classes. We also have writing samples, note-taking samples, and then a presentation at the end of the week that we use to confirm the placement from the note-taking samples. The overall process students go through is first they do activities to develop schemata through the classwork. And then the faculty evaluate their writing and note-taking samples. They do the activity, the placement activity. Then the faculty evaluate the samples and grade the reading test. And the data from the instruments is entered into a spreadsheet. And then the important step is we check with the instructors who have been working directly with the students to see if the placement that we have got from the writing samples really fits in with the students' skills that they've demonstrated in the classroom. So we have an additional way to check it that's much more personal than just a writing sample that's decontextualized. And then we collaborate with our Welcome Center to enter that data into Banner and get students into classes. There's a couple of rubrics here, I'm not going to go over them, but they're just here for your information. So in our pilot in 2019, we placed 52 students, but because that was quite close to the beginning of the semester and many of them were already planning to take classes at the adult school, not all of them initially enrolled, but we did have 8 enroll in pronunciation, which was taught at the adult school, and 20 enroll in writing classes. So we surveyed the teachers to see how the placement went in those writing classes. We found that 1 student was placed too high and 3 were placed too low. So not too bad, but we know we have some room to adjust when we come back to campus and hopefully put this back into practice again. We found that the students that were too low were mostly in our second highest level. Our highest level, our level 5, is 1 level below transfer level English. So we need to keep working on that boundary between our level 4 and our level 5, our 2 highest levels. We also are a little bit concerned that some students still felt like it was a little bit less friendly to have so many placement instruments. So we need to work on balancing that. But overall, it was a lot more holistic and relaxing than just taking a test on a computer, and definitely a more friendly way to welcome students into class and get them into the right level. So we do need more data. I do want to point out that, of course, in 2020 and 2021, we have not been able to have this whole campus experience. We did continue to do WordJam online on Canvas, but it was 3 weeks of asynchronous instruction with more emphasis on learning the tech skills and learning some academic skills, like learning how to submit an essay on Canvas and such. We did allow students to use it for placement if they completed it, but not the number of students who completed it in the online environment was much lower. When we were in person, we'd have basically 100% completion, and online it was like 4 to 5 out of 50. So that's definitely an issue with the online environment. All right, thank you so much. Our emails are on the screen. I'll definitely check in on your, it was 1 week when it was in person. I see this in the chat. 1 week in person, 1 week before the semester starts. Do I have 2 minutes left?
Yeah, and I actually, I'm not sure if that question was pertaining to WordJam or Steps to Credit, because I think that came in right before WordJam started. So Jessica or Lisa, I don't know if you could address that question in the Q&A.
I think it came in at 2:25. But yeah, it is normally 1 week before the semester starts, just FYI. And then when we did the online one, it started 3 weeks before the semester starts. Thanks, Jefferson. And we don't have it before the spring term because of staffing reasons. The outreach that we did to get students to sign up was we worked with our international student program and with the adult school. And they have wonderful staff members who did a great job of signing students up. But we also have one dedicated staff member in our ESL center who worked individually with students too. So we had basically 4 faculty teaching the program, 2 faculty doing the assessment, and then a couple staff members helping students get in. Thank you. Yeah. It's not a class really in the sense that students enroll in it. It's not like something they register for on our website. They just show up. Yeah. Thanks, Evan. Yeah, and definitely, thank you, everyone. Do we have time for any more questions?
Yeah, I think we have maybe another minute if there's any others trickling in.
We'll definitely say hi to Todd. Thank you. He teaches in this program too. I don't know if he's in this picture.
Okay, well, folks can continue to use the chat or that Q&A feature to ask any questions of our college speakers. Thank you so much, Eleanor and Evan, for your presentation. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to Cypress College now, who actually contributed 2 practices in the ESL Spotlight Series.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm Allison Robertson and the ESL department coordinator. So I'll talk about transferability, and then I'll hand it over to Kathy Wada, my colleague, and she'll talk about the ESL milestone certificates. That's working. So I'm sure you are aware of the longstanding deficit mindset about ESL. As acknowledged in Assembly Bill AB 705 and Title V Ed Code, instruction in ESL is distinct from remediation in English, yet ESL courses have long been equated with basic skills or low levels of work, critical thinking, and language skills. In other words, many simply do not see ESL as college level work. Still an ongoing problem for us. So we have to build a case for transferability. And at Cypress, we built a case for 3 types of transferability, and I'll mention those a little bit later. But first I want to talk about rationale, which will be equity, research, and comparability to advanced foreign language. All right, so the first rationale is equity, and I know it's only one slide on this whole, or 1 sentence on this whole slide, but it's a really important one. So ESL students are an equity population, according to the Chancellor's Office. So we need to make sure that we are talking about that and that we are explaining this issue to colleagues. Oops, there we go. So, and we also need to make sure people start acknowledging who our students are and what they're capable of. So our students are at an advanced proficiency in their foreign language, enabling them to read, write, and engage with meaningful academic content that meets GE requirements. So these first 3 bullet points are essentially just taken from the GE requirements, specifically humanities. And when my colleagues and I took a look at these statements, we said, well, that's what our students are doing in our courses. So we're building language, but how are we doing it? We're doing it by using works such as Just Mercy in the lower level list there, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and so on. And these are works of cultural importance, and we do a lot of work discussing, reading, writing, talking, analyzing. Unfortunately, many of those making decisions about ESL don't see ESL as an advanced foreign language or as engaging in this GE level work. So ESL courses have rarely been approved to fulfill transfer requirements in the same way elementary and intermediate foreign language courses have, without question, by the way, for the foreign language. So this leads to some serious problems. First, inconsistent ESL course offerings. Right now we have inconsistent GE review of ESL courses, and that results in approvals for some colleges and denials for others with substantially similar course outlines. And it also creates fewer students having access to courses that meet GE requirements. Another problem is the negative student outcomes. So when advanced ESL courses do not fulfill transfer GE requirements, our ESL students are forced to take more units, lengthening their pathway to transfer. And we all know that longer pathways really present more opportunities to drop out of the pathway, and we start having fewer students get to their goals. And the little text in red here just gives an example. I get C3B approval for advanced ESL courses can save a student up to 15 units, because usually that I get C3B requires third semester of, say, Spanish. All right, let's move on. So we want to get past that and move on to another rationale. So research is also an issue we need to use when we're trying to create our transferable courses. And research shows that transferability is recommended, best practice, and it links to state goals. And so what I have here is just some links that are in our spotlight. So you can, click on these later when you get the spotlight document. But for example, the vision for success goals, that's talking about the goals that we're trying to increase people receiving degrees, certificates, transfers, decrease the number of units it takes to get there. We're trying to decrease opportunity gaps. And all of this does link very nicely to what we're trying to do when we give students credit for more than just taking a class, that they get GE credit, transferability credit with an ESL course. Okay. Transferability for ESL courses is affirmed within the CCC as well as by our CSU and UC partners. And so what I want us to think about here is that ESL classes can transfer. I have been asked questions like, well, how can ESL classes transfer? Aren't they below transfer level? And what those questions are asking, they're really just getting at a mindset that says ESL is not college. And so we have to change that mindset. ESL is unique. It's very different from most any other programs on a college campus, and it is not remedial. So again, this is a list of links in our spotlight. So you're welcome to go through and click, but these documents all back up our case for transferability. There's nothing in any of the official documents that say ESL can't do this. All right. Okay, so the next rationale is foreign language comparability. Cypress College created a comparison document to support transferability. So this is just the link to it. And again, that's in our spotlight. I'll show you a snippet of it in a second. But my colleagues and I did a course outline analysis. And when we did that, we saw that our ESL courses are far more rigorous than the intermediate foreign language courses that receive transferability, again, without any question. So we need to keep that in mind, that we are like an advanced foreign. We're not exactly exactly equivalent, but we are like an advanced foreign language course. And yet these students in the speech, in Spanish get no questions asked, their transferability, and our students are still told no. Oh, sorry, I need to go. Actually, I don't see the, well, something is going on and I cannot find the back button. I am sorry. There it is. It's showing up finally. Okay. Okay, not touching. So this is a snippet from our comparability document. So it's about a 5-page document, so it's a little long. So it's just a little teeny piece. On the left, what we did was we put in UCLA's Spanish courses, and on the right in blue, we have our Cypress College Spanish courses, and in the middle is our ESL program. And we literally just went and copy pasted from our outlines, our course outlines, to see where did we match up. And so you can see, just for an example, Spanish 101 on the right-hand side here gets degree applicable, transferable units, fulfills CSU C2. And if you look in the middle at our yellow section, that's not even our program yet. We don't even start at that level. That's and in North Orange, that's our non-credit college. And so it takes a while before we even get into our program. And you can see in the middle at the bottom, 105 is our lowest level course in our credit program. And it is showing equivalency here to Spanish 203 at Cypress, which gets not only C2, but also it gets C3B. And we didn't even ask for this kind of transferability at this lowest level. All right, so the types of transferability. There's 3 types that we have in our program. The first is the written communication. So our highest level has this, and it transfers to UCs under I get C area 1A, transferred to CSUs under area A2. Our next 2 levels get the humanities area C2, and as you see here, I get C3B, we've had denials, 2 denials in a row. We're preparing to resubmit again in December. And I believe we'll be resubmitting again, basically for another 100 years until they give it to us, which hopefully it won't take that long, but we're not going to stop. We're going to be a little bit. The third type is transferability as elective units. And let me go ahead and show you our program. So this is our program. The whole sequence, 105 through 110, has some form of transferability in our program. And so if you're looking to do this, it's absolutely doable. And yes, all of your courses can have some form of transferability. Okay, so some just basic things to think about when you're doing this. You got to start local. The basic starting point is your colleagues on your own campus. You have to make sure that colleagues on your own campus understand what you're doing, what your ESL students are accomplishing in your courses. You have to change mindsets. Our comparison chart is a great starting point. And it was about 10 years ago when we used that comparison chart in our own curriculum committee meeting for a different set of courses. And it really did open a lot of eyes to what we're doing in our courses. Because again, I was getting questions like, isn't this just basic, remedial? And it's like, no, not even close. So you got to really explain what's going on in our credit courses. So you need to make all your courses transferable. You don't have to make all of them, but you need to make your courses transferable, first of all, in order to then apply for the GE fulfillment. So there's precedent. So you absolutely have precedent for both the 2C and the I Get C3B. Not a lot, but there is precedent. And then, all of these docs here are again linked in Spotlight so you can find comparable courses. And then lastly, when you're doing your transfer justifications, I just want you to think about one, if you're doing the written communication, so transfer level composition or freshman English, make sure your course is looking at the CID for college composition, because that's what we did. Our English department asked us to look at one of their courses and we said, sure, but the primary focus is making sure we meet the college composition CID, because that is what the GE reviewers want. For humanities, this is the problem. We're getting a lot of acceptances and a lot of denials. That's really mostly. The biggest issue is that GE reviewers don't look at our supporting docs. So our wonderful comparison doc, which I think opens a lot of eyes, is not getting looked at when we submit for C2 or 3B. And so that's problematic. But again, your core needs to match the GE requirements and the standards. And then finally, the real starting point is your elective credit. And that's local. It's a local issue to make your courses transferable. So you need to do that. You need to convince everybody at your local level, get your courses transferable, and then you can start getting that to GE fulfillment. Okay, that is it for me. Any questions?
Thank you, Allison. I think you were able to address them, and Kathy as well, as we kind of move through. And as Allison mentioned, Cypress College very kindly shared all of their justification documents, comparison documents, even denial comments that they received from the GE reviewers. So colleges can have kind of that inside look as to why a course might be denied transfer credit. So all of that information is linked in the college spotlight for folks who would be interested in implementing, any kind of transferability amongst credit ESL courses at their college. So thank you so much for making all of that available and being so transparent just about how this process works. Feel free to continue dropping questions and comments in the chat, and then I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kathy Wada, who is also at Cypress College and who is going to share all about their ESL milestone certificate program.
Okay, I'm Kathy Wada, and first of all, thank you all for your affirming comments and your encouragement about what we're doing at Cypress. But I do want to say that we are definitely a team. So we have Allison Robertson, Jill Bauer, Janelle Herman, and Samantha Simmons. And it's really a collective rock star group, I have to say. We're like KISS or Journey back in the day. We're just pretty awesome, I have to say. So I'm going to be talking about the ESL milestone certificates. And let me try to advance. And I'm not advancing. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. All right, so really the focus of what we're doing, I mean, we're doing some really great things at Cypress, and it draws attention to our college, which I hope then will be able to create opportunities to draw attention to other colleges and the things that they're doing. But really, when it comes down to it, it's really all about the students. So I just wanted to start off with the dessert of the program, or the dessert of the presentation, rather than the main meal. And it's our students, right? So we have a page that has ESL testimonials. And these ESL testimonials are from students who earned our ESL milestone certificates in the first semester 2019. So I asked them to write up, like, what does this mean to you? And so I think this is so persuasive. If your college wants to develop something like this, like, you got to hear from the students. So that part is pretty amazing. So I'm starting off with the dessert. This is Tade from Ethiopia, and this is what he said. The semester ended and we all parted ways, but what I learned in that class will always be with me, the ESL class. I went ahead and finished all my higher English classes with the B or better. When I got the email about the certificate, I felt beyond excited. It represented all the hard work I put into all my career to get where I am today. It might be an easy thing for some people, but for a young Black Ethiopian who came not so long ago to the States with confusion, it represents everything. It represents accomplishment. It represents that we have support too. It represents that all our hard work has value, and it represents that we can aim and execute big too. So I think that's just awesome. This is Jennifer Palacios from Ecuador. So today, many of these students receive their awards as a symbol of their multicultural cultural backgrounds and their intercultural communication. I feel grateful for the acceptance and kindness provided by Cypress College professors towards their foreign students. The word milestone denotes that a person has recorded a certain number of miles in their pathway or the proximity toward their major professional goals. I have finally recorded a milestone, which indicates to me that I am closer to obtaining my professional associate degree. Once again, I am thankful for the participation of ESL professors in each of their students' academic preparation for their futures. In a similar way, I felt appreciated and included as a foreign student at Cypress College. Lastly, my message for current ESL students is that the academic journey seems difficult, yet an extensive second language knowledge is the best reward at the end of each ESL student story. So they're just awesome. So the certificates are awesome. The way that I did this presentation was kind of to add on to the spotlight and feature things that are not necessarily in the spotlight. Because I figure that you all can read the spotlight. We tried to create those as comprehensively as possible. But we have 9 certificates, and they are awesome because, number one, they allow our system to recognize the success of our students in a very real way, right? Like, our system recognizes ESL students when they complete freshman composition. Before that, sorry, you're not a success. After that, great job, we fixed you, and go on with your life. But these certificates acknowledge their pathway success in their majors, right? They align with statewide initiatives of guided pathways and AB 705. They align with local, state, and national research. And they allow credit ESL programs to count. So these are some things that I'm gonna talk about like really quickly. So they allow students to, our system to recognize the success of our students. So as I mentioned, and as most of you probably know, the way success is measured for our students is just like, have you completed freshman composition, English 100. Again, before that, not a success. After that, thank you very much and goodbye. But our certificates, again, they recognize what they are doing in their pathways as they complete not only ESL, advanced ESL courses, but then prerequisite or foundational courses in their majors or towards their degrees or their certificates. So it's, a way for our students to have recognition from our system beyond the completion of freshman comp. They align with AB 705, and the goals of completion on the ways to pathway and transfer goals, and then also with guided pathways, because the 2 pillars of guided pathways are to create a clear curricular path towards employment or further education, or to ensure that learning is happening with an intentional outcome of, completion through a certificate. So, they're just awesome. They align with local research. So we did research on our college campus to find out where students were, what they were studying, what they were completing, and where they were going. And we designed the first batch of certificates around what our students were completing in those different areas. They align with statewide research. So the Through the Gate research is where I kind of got that inspiration for the certificates, that students who are like at the gate or near the gate, how to get them some type of completion marker so that they can then go through the gate of transfer or degree. And then national research as well. And all of this is in the spotlight. They're awesome because they allow our students, our programs to quote unquote count. There's 18 to 19 units certificate of achievement. So they therefore count in the funding formula. And this is significant, I think, because there are very limited ways that ESL programs can count on a budgetary level at our campuses. So it's strategic. They're strategically designed in that way. Are they successful? Yes, super duper yes. So I know you can't see this very well, but what I want to draw your attention to is the giant orange block in that for the 2019 year, students earned a total of 645 certificates, and they were all for ESL. And so they're just pretty amazing, really, really amazing. But more so, are they impacting equity? Because equity is such a big, concern and a focus on so many of our campuses. And this is what happened when we had our certificates approved in the 2019-2020 year. Completion for African Americans, for Latinx populations, for white, for Asian. I mean, it's like ridiculous how much things increased, right? So like Latinx from 16 to 118%, a 638% increase, whites 900% increase, African American a 1300% increase from 2 to 28. And you might say like 28, that's still not very much, but for these students, there was no other way for them to have a completion marker anywhere. So from 2 to 28, I think is very, very significant. And then Asian completion, 4,336% increase. So that was pretty intense. So, they are impacting equity in a very substantial way. So this is just a little brief overview of our certificates. One of the most common questions are how the language arts written communication certificate works. So I designed them so there are pathway to transfer. There's one for written communication, oral communication, and social sciences, because those are the ones that fulfill transfer. So it's our 3 highest ESL courses with one of the courses for written communication, and finish those, and then that's one certificate. Another certificate, and this is an example of how the SEM majors have high unit courses, and so we designed them to have only our top two classes with college algebra, with one of the other courses in the SEM areas, either Chem, Gen Chem, or physics. And all of the SEM majors have to take, these courses in some way or fashion. So it's a good way to capture like everybody in SEM. So just wanted to share a little bit of this information beyond what's in the spotlight. And the hope is that you will be able to go back to your campuses with some very compelling arguments on why your campus needs this, why your students need this, and how it's going to be good and wonderful and amazing for both students, for the college, all the way around. So thank you. I don't know if there are any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy. We did have a couple of questions coming in. So Gabriel asked, do certificates count for SSFF? This might be student-centered funding formula if they include
Yes.
courses that are below transfer level, such as courses numbered 253.
So certificates, well, the certificates, if they're certificates of achievement of, I think, 16, maybe 18 or more, they will count for this student, for the funding formula. So yes, but there are currently some restrictions on, you cannot have a certificate that is comprised only of ESL courses or only basic skills courses. We have a resolution with ASCCC, so they're going to hope to change Title V so that certificates comprised of only ESL courses will be fine. So, but long answer, Gabe, is yes.
And then it looks like,
Oh, unit certificate for unit requirement for ESL certificate. It depends on what kind of certificate you wanted to do. I wanted these to be strategically structured to also fulfill the funding formula requirements. So then in that case, there is a minimum unit, which I think is 16, but I designed mine to be 18 because at the time they hadn't settled, and I didn't want to design it for like 17 and then they put out the funding formula and they've got to be 18. So I just went on the extra safe route. It wasn't very hard because, you know, our ESL classes are like, you know, 5 units each. So it's not hard to get to that, you know, 18 or whatever.
and does the student have to select the certificate in their ed plan with a counselor, or is it automatically conferred once they complete the required courses?
So I hope to reach a point where they will be auto awarded. We're not at that yet. So basically I'm processing all of the students and their certificate applications. It's a lot of work, but they're not choosing them as their programs or their majors because they're designed to be pathway certificates. They're not meant to be end goals in themselves. And if students were to choose their certificates as an end goal, at their ed goal, then there are financial aid implications. So we're actively trying to identify students who say, you know, my ed goal is to complete a certificate, to meet with them and then find out what their actual pathway is beyond that, and then helping them to change, to update their major so it's more appropriate for their end educational goal.
Awesome, thank you. And then a couple more, we got lots of activity in the chat. Do all of the ESL classes for the milestone certificates have to be CSU UC transferable?
No, they don't. But again, there's that Title V, provision that they can't be comprised of only ESL or only basic skills. I think that in general, it has a lot of more credibility, I think, or integrity, if it does have that transferability. But I don't think it has to, but there are those Title V restrictions against only basic skills or only ESL. And I think that just, you know, that's that head of deficit mindset towards ESL, but we're hoping to change that.
Awesome. One more question for you, Kathy, and then I think we have a question from Connie that's perhaps for the whole group here. But Kathy, how are you meeting the 51% or greater requirement for AAM?
51%. What? So I don't know what AAM is.
Okay, maybe Shannon.
But we do have a requirement. We do have a requirement that they have to complete at least 50% of the coursework at Cypress College. But I haven't heard of AAM, so
okay.
I don't know how.
I'll try to get some articulated for the major. It's in the PCAH.
In the PCA? Well, this is a certificate of achievement, so I'm thinking I don't think it has that requirement for the AA, like what you're saying, the major, because I looked at that pretty carefully. And they're approved, so no one has said anything.
Okay, great. And then we did have a question. Has anyone experienced a student who is deaf or hard of hearing enroll in their program? If so, how did they do this, or how did they do? And I'm not sure. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up because we're getting close to the end of our session here. So if our college presenters could respond to that question in the chat, that would be extremely helpful. And then we'll go ahead, and we wanted to just share some upcoming research from the MAP team that's relevant to ESL, so everyone can see kind of what's on the horizon. So some of the research activities that are underway include reviewing the ESL adoption plans that were submitted by all of the colleges. And then we're also working on an analysis of KELSA and AccuPlacer data and an analysis of international student data to determine how best to place that particular group of students. And then if you want to learn more about that, we have a bit.ly link in the slides where you can access the progress of that study. And we also have a slide that has more resources. Oh, it looks like this is sorry, I didn't know the slide wasn't here. So this is actually some findings from the AB 705 qualitative study that the MAP team conducted about a year ago that shares some of the relevant practices that have been implemented as a result of AB 705. So you can see just some of the changes that have taken place in the ESL community as a result of AB 705, but overall, colleges were seeing increased communication and collaboration amongst faculty. We heard that from both within ESL departments as well as between ESL and English departments. Many programs have simplified and shortened their ESL course sequences to help students move through their pathway more efficiently. They've also modified their ESL curriculum to support ESL students in transfer level English, so kind of giving them a little bit of a preview of what to expect as they get closer to enrolling in transfer level English. And then many colleges mentioned that they have designed support courses for ESL students enrolled in transfer level English, as well as created transfer level English equivalent courses for ESL students. And then one of our ESL department chairs, oh, if we could go back real quick, I just wanted to share the quote, which I think is really powerful. So one of the ESL department chairs we spoke to during this research shared that giving students more autonomy can often be empowering for students. The ESL department has seen that with guided self-placement efforts for ESL. Students feel empowered by having more choice and control over the classes they take. So just to give you some kind of behind the scenes insight on what that looks like at some of our colleges.
And then just lastly, just some other resources that are available on the RP Group website. Some research that has already been completed on ESL, but we have a lot more research coming up on ESL as well. So check back. You can access all of the ESL research on the RP Group website under Multiple Measures Assessment Project, and we have a tab specific to ESL. Oh, and that's it.
So a big thanks once again to our college presenters and to Mallory for her leadership on this work. We appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today, and we hope you found this information helpful. With that, I wish everyone a very happy Friday, and we'll go ahead and respond to any final questions in the chat if we have any. Otherwise, we'll close out the session.
So in regards to the AAM, if you don't mind, I think it probably doesn't count because it's not actually a part of the majors. Like if a student is a chemistry major, the certificate courses are not part of that major. It's a pathway milestone certificate. So I think that's part of the reason why it doesn't count, but.
All right, well, thank you to all of your presenters, and you guys did a fantastic job staying in your time limits. You all must have rehearsed, so we really appreciate that. You guys did great. We had 87 total attendees, so that's a great turnout on a Friday afternoon, so really thank you very much. And we'll have all of the slides and the recording posted on the website, and we will be sending it out to the listserv next week as well. So thank you so much, and just really great job.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was great. You guys all came very prepared, and we had a lot of good engagement from the participants. So fantastic.
All right, take care.
All right,
Okay,
bye,
thank you. Have a
everyone.
great weekend.